Time now is 12 minutes past 8. When Lee Martin was killed in a collision with a van while he was riding his bicycle, police suspected that the man responsible had been texting.
But it was only when the case got to court that it was revealed the killer had multiple previous offences for using his phone at the wheel.
There are new figures out today which suggest that Lee's killer isn't alone, with more people admitting to driving and using their mobile phone. Almost a third of those, in fact, asked by a survey by the RAC admitted to doing so. Lee's brother, Darrell, joins us now. Good morning.
Hi.
Can you tell us what happened?
My brother was involved in it was part of a cycling club, and he was doing a time trial on the A31, and he was cycling along at average speed of 24 miles an hour, and sort of very clear, in all the right clothing, cycling safely, and the man in the bloke in the van was driving along at 65 miles an hour, was involved in a series of text messages, and he had 9 seconds of clear. The police have said he had 9 seconds of clear road when he could have seen my brother, and he just ploughed straight into him at 65 miles an hour. And there was a car behind the van that had seen my brother ahead and pulled out, and was waiting for the van to pull out, and was wondering why the van didn't pull out, and the van just went smashed back into my brother.
So to bring this, just to be absolutely clear, your brother was riding at 24 miles per hour.
Something like that, yeah.
The van was going at 60 miles an hour, so it's not even a case of someone just stepping out in front of the road. He was in front of him in that road, and what the police are saying, what the evidence showed, was that he spent so much time texting. He was actually, his eyes were off the road for a certain
he had at
amount
least
of time.
9 seconds, and that was when my brother would have come into view. So you don't know how long he was just not looking at the road before that. And yeah, so my brother didn't stand a chance.
Darrell, what emerged during the trial about the driver and his texting?
Well, we kind of knew some of the stuff beforehand, because as a family, the police had sort of kept us up to date with certain facts. But in the trial, it became apparent he had been convicted 8 times before for using his phone, and 6 weeks before he hit my brother, he'd been in court. He should have had 12 points. His licence should have been banned, but he managed to plead to the magistrate's hardship, and so they let him keep his licence. And 6 weeks and 1 day later, he drove into my brother, and he had promised in the magistrate's court that he wouldn't use his phone anymore. He'd lock it in the back of his van, and he wouldn't have it. And when the police stopped him, he deleted the text messages to try and cover his tracks.
You spoke to that man.
Well,
in the
yeah,
trial,
I read a victim statement to him, yeah, in court.
And how did he react? Your victim statement was about how your brother's death had affected you.
Yeah, it affected me and my family, and it was worse than, because I knew that the bloke could have been stopped 8 times before. You know, if there'd been a decent, if the point system or the sentencing had been sort of representative of danger, he would have been stopped. If it'd been 8 points or 6 points, he wouldn't have had a chance to go on the road. But it's not treated seriously enough. So it was my older brother, and I wanted to sort of have a word, say my piece to the bloke who'd killed him. So I read my statement to him, and I told him what I thought of him, and how it affected my family, and also I said how as a family we've been let down by the system.
What did he say?
Why don't you do you want to have a sip of water?
Yeah.
Because I know you got some there, and people will appreciate it. It's not easy for you talking about this. For now, presumably you drive yourself, and you must see people all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Texting or using their mobiles. What does that make you think?
Well, I mean, I'm angry. I'm not Victor Meldrew about it, but I get sort of raging about it. I was driving through Leicester with a friend. This is probably about 2 or 3 months ago, and we saw a man in a van driving. We come up to some traffic lights, and there was a bloke using his phone as we pulled up the traffic lights, and my passenger wound down the window, and I said to the bloke, a bloke like you in a van like that, on a phone like that, killed my brother last year. Can you get off your phone? And he just sort of put it down sheepishly. And as the lights were changing, he'd sort of turn around to me and said, well, you know what it's like, mate. You know, your phone rings, you've got to answer it. And I went, yeah, you've got to answer it, and you drive into someone and kill him. He just sort of drove off. And it's just, you see it everywhere. I see it all the time now. And I drive around on a motorbike, and when you're overtaking people, you just see people on the phone blatantly using their phone, and just a total disregard. You can see people weaving around the road. I'm so conscious of it now. You know, It's so apparent.
What do you think needs to be done, Darrell? Because this morning we've been trailing the fact that you've been coming on to talk about this. I mean, we're looking at front pages of the papers today. Have picked up on this, saying end this deadly phone epidemic. We've had people talk to us, get in touch with us, saying Simon says, I once saw a lady pull up the lights, 4 arms on the steering wheel, a tablet in her hand. I mean, the message is out there. I mean, you smile, but
no, it's just mental,
the message
isn't it?
is out there, and people just aren't listening.
Well,
why do you think that is, or what do you think you can say to someone?
Well, the way I've sort of thought about it is when you talk to sort of people of older generation, and they talk about people drink driving in the 60s and 70s, it was just like, well, everyone did it, and they kind of laugh about it. And you look back now and you think, well, that's just mental. That's insane that people just get in behind the wheel. And it's kind of like it's a cultural sort of norm. People just go, well, everyone does it, and just because everyone does it doesn't mean it's right. And there needs to be like a cultural shift where you get in a car, and if you see someone pick up the phone, they drive, and you just go, what do you think you're doing? Just like you wouldn't get in the car with a drink driver anymore. You go, no, wait, I'm not doing that. It's just, and if you think about drink driving as well, I was thinking about on the way in this morning, drink driving was probably a problem with the licensing hours between like after 2:30 in the afternoon when the pub's shut, and maybe after 10 o'clock. But now it's people in rush hour in the morning. It's all day, it's just constant, and everyone's doing it. And it needs a cultural shift, really.
There'll be people watching this morning, and they're going to get in their cars today.
Yeah.
They'll be driving, and they may well, they're going to have the phone next to them, maybe in the passenger seat. Whatever. What would the message be?
Well, I suppose, is it worth it? Is it really that important? The bloke that killed my brother was writing a text message about meeting his mate and taking his dog for a walk. It's horrendous. How inane is that? And there's a thing as well in the paper that the Department of Transport or whoever it is that makes decisions that they're thinking of increasing it from 3 points to 4 points. And you go, it's not giving lines to people for misbehaving in class. These are things that are killing people. 1 point difference going to make.
Darrell, you coming on today and talking to us? I hope it's hit home, even if it's hit one person home today. But it's an emotional and obviously very personal story you've told to us, but I think invaluable. Thank you so much for your
Cheers,
time.
thanks for your time.
Thank you.